Hello everyone, it's Dr. Meyer here with the third video in the series on sequences. This video is for you to practice analyzing sequences, so let's get started. In case you missed the first and second videos in this series, there are two types of sequences, melodic and harmonic. The focus of this video will be to find both of those sequence types in musical excerpts. Recall that all sequences feature a repeated pattern at a new pitch level after an initial statement of a musical idea. Harmonic sequences are used to further musical progression and sometimes are even in a modulation. We are going to focus here on diatonic sequences, though, which preserve the repeated pattern without modulating. Harmonic sequences sometimes also feature a pattern of intervals that are specific to that sequence, which is called a linear intervallic pattern. You may have heard this or read this in your book. This is a topic of its own video, which is forthcoming. Chromatic sequences, or sequences which modulate, are discussed in the videos on modulation, for which I have put the link in the description. Hey, would you look at that? Do you remember this excerpt from the first video? We took a look at the melodic sequences that were present in all the voices of this Fanny Hensel lead, and you can see those notations here. Listen and follow along with our analysis. Let me take away those melodic sequences and see if we can find which type of harmonic sequence is here. Pause the video now and do some chordal analysis. Let's check out the chords and Roman numeral labels here. Even though the bass line is smoothly walking down by step, we can see that the harmony is not moving by seconds in the roots. Instead, from chord 1 to chord 2, we see a movement down a fourth, and from the 5-6 to 6, we see that's up a second based on the root motion. We can see that that pattern continues, so we know we have a 2-chord sequence that matches up with our melodic sequence. Remember, in a 2-chord sequence, we should measure from the first root to the next root in the repeated segment, like these pitches here. So from B flat to G is a third, from G to E flat is a third, and so on. So we have here a descending thirds harmonic sequence. Listen once more with this analysis. Here's your next example from Clementi's Piano Sonata in C major. Listen first and see if you can identify both the melodic and harmonic sequences. Pause the video after the recording and take your time. Get ready, it's very allegro con spirito. The melodic sequence in the treble staff is every measure and features 3.5 segments, with the final segment failing to complete. The bass line also appears to be sequencing melodically with the triad and open octave chord alternating. The harmonic sequence is a little trickier, and we have to do some harmonic analysis to figure it out. We can collect up the pitches and see that the bass line is moving in a specific pattern interval. From A to D is down a fifth, from D to G is down a fifth, and so on. Checking out the Roman numerals, we can see that our intervals reveal the same relationship, that is down a fifth per chord. So even though this sequence has a melodic sequence which lasts for the whole measure, the harmonic sequence is only every half measure because we have the same interval passing with each new chord. This is a descending fifths harmonic sequence, or that circle of fifths progression that we know so well. Listen once more and see if you can hear now that interval of a fifth as it passes by through each chord change. Up next is a lead by Brahms. Have a listen and get to work. Pause the video now. Our melodic sequences are mostly in the voice part. And you can also argue that the piano has some melodic sequencing as well, but it's not exact in the right hand. However, it is exact in the left hand. As for the harmonic sequences, we will have to see the chordal analysis to find out what's going on exactly. Here are the chord labels. Check out the root motion that we can see here. So up a third and down a fourth. Therefore, we know we have a 2-chord sequence that matches our melodic sequence in the voice part. Observing the root motion from the start of each segment, we can see a descending second from 1 to 7 to 6 and so on. Therefore, we have a descending second harmonic sequence. This sequence is a little less common because we begin the pattern of root motion with an ascending interval instead of a descending. So most sequences are going to have a downward root motion first, followed by an upward root motion. Still is a sequence. Listen once more with this analysis in mind. Want more Brahms? Me too. Okay, this is the last example. Listen to the first few measures of the Serenade number 2 in A major. Pause the video now and find both melodic and harmonic sequences if you can. The melodic sequences are a little difficult to find as Brahms has added a little decoration to some of the restated segments. This is still sequential writing, but just masked on the surface level a little bit. To understand the harmonic sequence, we need some chord labels. Beginning in measure 2, each chord is in root position, which helps us immensely to measure the distances between the roots. From 4 to 2 is, of course, down a second, and from 2 to 5 is up a third. The pattern repeats in the same way, so we know that we have a 2-chord sequence. What is the root motion from the beginning of each segment? You can see here D to E to F sharp to G sharp. These are ascending seconds, of course, so we have an ascending second harmonic sequence. Listen once more and follow along with the analysis. I hope this video was good practice for you. Remember, the most common sequence types are down a second, up a second, down a third, up a fifth, and down a fifth, our ubiquitous circle of fifths progression. By focusing on diatonic sequences, which stay in a single key, we can recall that sometimes Roman numerals don't make sense in a sequence, and that's okay. It's a sequence. The biggest take-home message here, though, is that you should always analyze the root motion of your sequence to determine the label. It's not always what it seems on the surface, and those pesky melodic sequences don't always sync up with the patterns going on in the harmony. Keep practicing because sequences are an important element of 18th century counterpoint, which we will get to soon. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.